Hey everybody, Mandy Ray of Ecstatic Astrology here to give you the weekly update for Monday, November 22nd through Monday, November 29th, aka Thanksgiving week in the US. And it's going to be an interesting Thanksgiving, especially the astrology of Sagittarius season. That's really what Thanksgiving is. Thanksgiving happens every time with the sun in Sagittarius, which just moved into today, Monday, November 22nd. And Sagittarius is a sign that rules our philosophies, our inner truth, optimism. And so it makes sense that we are having a holiday that's celebrating being grateful and thankful for things, our abundance, and also that we will gather with family to talk about our philosophies and our truths. And that's specifically what I'm seeing for Thanksgiving that I think will be an interesting, but let's go ahead and talk about the week leading up to it first. So Monday, the 22nd, yes, sun in Sagittarius and the moon's in Cancer. Now, Cancer is an emotional sign, meaning it likes to move emotion. It is related to our inner security and nurturing. And as it comes into square Chiron in the early afternoon, which actually it just did by the time I'm recording this, it can open up a little bit of a wound, something that we care about, someone we're really trying to be ourselves, and something maybe can derail us from that or open up a wound or be sensitive. So that's early afternoon. And then later in the evening, the moon will sextile Uranus, which is an opportunistic transit. So it seems as if maybe we have to deal with a little bit of a sensitive moment early afternoon on the 22nd, and then we're freed from it somehow. And it can be something small. The astrology doesn't always have to be these big things. It's oftentimes something that we wouldn't notice without the reflection of astrology in our lives. So to know, oh, that's what that means. That's a wound that I need to heal because I got upset, just like Mandy said I might. But I might have just not really, dived into it or dove, whatever the word is, if I hadn't been aware that this is something I need to pay attention to. And that's how astrology is a tool. Don't get me started because I've had my conversations over the eclipse with people calling astrology akin to, flat earth and things of that nature, which I do not believe it is. You can use astrology for everyday life. So anyway, that being said, that is what Monday looks like. It may be a brief sensitive moment, and then we are perhaps freed from it by becoming aware of it somehow. And then Tuesday, actually, before we wake up, the moon in Cancer opposes Venus in Capricorn. So we're sleeping. So that's probably something we're not going to really even be aware of, at least in the US, those of us that are in the US. But when we wake up, just after that opposition to Venus, which is a nice transit, by the way, I think it makes us emotionally aware of, especially with Venus and Capricorn, where we need to draw boundaries or have, maybe stronger structures and foundations. And then we wake up and the moon is trine Mars in Scorpio. Now, this is very motivating. And it's like, I want to get up and go with the moon trine Mars. What am I going after? I'm going after my own desires, things that I'm definitely actually truly motivated by. This isn't like motivated to take care of mundane things. This is motivation from a place of passion. And I think that's really nice. And then, of course, there is this other thing. Venus is loosely sextile Mars. In fact, they will not exactly sextile, which is an opportunistic aspect. But they will be pretty close to it this whole week. So there is this, while we may get, our Mars activated in some way, which is the motivation, passion, action, will, desire, Venus is there, like kind of saying there is a way to do it. And that's helpful. So that's active first thing in the morning, Tuesday, the 23rd. And then that motivation, it may give way to escapism. You could also say mysticism or transcendence, whatever you want to call it. The moon trines Neptune and Pisces in the early afternoon. So that kind of makes us less motivated. Usually Neptune transits are inspirational, possibly escapist, but it's brief. It's the moon. The sun is with the South Node in Sagittarius on Tuesday. This is kicking up karmic dust, if you will. I have figured out through a series of my own epiphanies that I really believe for most people, this 2 weeks in between eclipses is going to present us with a choice to stay in our old way, our old limiting beliefs, or maybe stories we've been telling ourselves that we're trying to get out of. Or we have the choice to, maybe go on a new path. This Tuesday is specifically kicking up some storyline that may try to maybe tempt us back into the old way. Or maybe you do want to keep something from that specific lesson, but there are other things you want to discard. That is what the Sun South Node is. It's kicking up karmic dust, so to speak. So you may have some awareness of what these eclipses are about on Tuesday, especially as we, it's like we get a glimpse of the possibilities of one or the other storyline, basically. The moon will oppose Pluto later in the evening. So it is a little bit of an increased rating on the trigger scale, if I were to say it that way, especially because Mercury also is at the last degree of Scorpio today. So the 29th degree, and that's known as the anaretic degree or the degree of crisis. So we can be making some crucial personal decisions this evening. My friend Ham Bagby, who's a songwriter, has a song called Shit's Crucial, and that's exactly what today is like, okay? Shout out to Ham. Wednesday, November 24th, the moon is finishing up its voyage through Cancer, which can tend to be a little emo. I should know I'm a Cancer rising. So, it may also feel a little bit like a slow start with the moon in Cancer. It's like, oh, I want to stay in my comfy bed. That's what I feel like anyway with this transit. But it does change pretty quickly as Mercury moving into Sagittarius around mid-morning. So this shift from Scorpio to Sagittarius is big for Mercury. Okay, Mercury is a little bit unhinged in Sagittarius. Its opposite sign, the opposite sign of Sagittarius is Gemini, and that's Mercury's home. So that's where it operates really great. In Sagittarius, it's a little bit of like foot and mouth sometimes. Like I just say things before I think, or I say things that I think I know, it may not be the case, or I really will speak from my personal place of truth. It's not all bad. I have Mercury in Sagittarius natally. It's just a lot of times we just feel like we need to get out what we believe with Mercury in Sagittarius. So it really, this whole Sagittarius needing to speak about our philosophies and our truth gets kicked up a notch when Mercury moves there on Wednesday, November 24th. And then the other thing that will add to that is that the moon moves into Leo, another fire sign. So in astrology, when things are in the same element, they're working together, generally speaking. And so the moon moving into Leo will immediately trine Mercury. And that is like our emotions in Leo, which is inner child creativity. It really wants to be seen. Trine to Mercury in Sagittarius, which really wants to be heard. So it centers our mental emotional processes around feeling seen and being heard. And we may be more likely to speak out about our truth, even if we typically stay quiet, or, we may just be buzzing about something on Wednesday. Maybe creative debates, they want to put on a little bit of a show. Basically, the moon in Leo also draws our attention to sensitive areas. And when I say that, I mean the inner child areas. It's like, really, how am I feeling seen and heard in Leo? And it will immediately square Saturn, which is structure, framework. And that's something to note when I say, actually, it opposes Saturn, excuse me. The moon in Leo opposes Saturn in Aquarius. And that maybe it's more towards evening. Let me look. Sometimes I have to consult with the chart. My notes aren't enough. Yeah, it is. It's more toward the evening time. And the thing about this Mercury opposition to Saturn is that it sets off this other thing, which is Saturn sextile Chiron. So at the same time, Mercury opposes Saturn. Oh, wait, no, it's overnight, isn't it? Oh, it's really late that that happens. So actually what we say in astrology is that it's applying all day, meaning it is building towards this moon opposite to Saturn in Aquarius, and then also moon trine Chiron. Now, moon trine Chiron by itself is super healing. And it's really healing our right to be our authentic selves, especially with Leo and Aries, okay? But also, when the moon opposes Saturn at the same time, it's setting off this Saturn sextile Chiron, which is really nice. It's like asking us to see where we need to build a framework that supports our healing and authenticity, where we can feel like we are ourselves inside of this really supportive structure. So I really like this specific thing. Like I will say it's active starting, it's within 4 degrees by around 7 p.m. Actually 6:30 p.m. So yeah, by around that time, we're experiencing moon opposition to Saturn. By itself can feel like an obstacle, but with this additional trine to Chiron is very much like supportive. Like I see I need to do the work. I'm going to support my healing, to support my authenticity. So it's also like this evening, take care of yourself and practice self-acceptance on Wednesday. It's really nice to do that before the Thursday Thanksgiving that we're going to have. So let's go ahead and tackle that, because we get up and it really is always a day that we celebrate and pontificate with the sun in Sagittarius, but also Mercury is situated on the South Node. And again, South Node is, karmic past, a place that we can get caught up. Could also be talents. Don't forget about that. So, it can stir up some old feelings, some old storylines, like maybe getting caught up in a debate that you don't need to get caught up in anymore. That could be one of the ways that comes up. So the moon is in Leo, of course, which is our inner child. And a lot of times when we're around our family, that can get triggered. I should find a different word, activated, because it's not always a trigger. Sometimes it makes you realize that your inner child is there feeling good, right? Feeling supported by your family or not, depending on what your life is going like. So the moon in Leo will square Uranus in Taurus first thing in the morning. That is for an already outspoken day, which it will be, Mercury and Sagittarius at the South Node with the sun. Moon in Leo square Uranus and Taurus first thing in the morning is like rebellious flair, right? So we get this like, I want to shake things up to start the day, and that starts Thanksgiving. If you're going to be doing some cooking for Thanksgiving, I would definitely plan ahead, because maybe even Wednesday night's a good night with that opposition to Saturn and trying to Chiron healing, putting that healing energy into it. Thursday morning, we get up, the moon square Uranus, and it's like, it can be a little bit of out of the blue things, events that we don't plan first thing in the morning. And it's brief because it's the moon, but it's still the way we start our day. Venus is in a loose but still active sextile with Mars in Scorpio. And that's really a good thing when it comes to like being compassionate in an otherwise activated situation. So we can really lean in on Venus and Capricorn, around dinner time, which is, I think a lot of people get together around dinner time. The moon in Leo squares Mars. And that really could have tempers flaring. So I want people to be aware that if these things are coming, it's not to expect it, it's to prepare for it, to say, if there is this triggering situation or if someone's tempers are flaring, I know that the astrology also reflects and explains this and validates this, and I can choose what I work with, how I work. Now, sometimes these astrological transits will reflect something we need to do. So maybe we do need to speak up. Maybe our tempers need to flare, but it's still empowering to know this could be coming. And if I can choose to do so with love and compassion, Venus and Capricorn, that's the better way to do it. So it's prone to arguing and debating. It's prone to or it's a fertile ground for a fight. Okay. That's not to say that will happen. It could also be something that excites you. It's Mars. It could be something that makes you feel like you're passionate or desirous. Maybe if you're with a loved one or something like that, just something to be aware of. And I wrote in my newsletter, it's the reason for this season is being grateful, not hateful. Maybe remember that. Grateful, not hateful. So hopefully we can lay loving boundaries down. So it's not that you don't need to speak up for yourself, or, it's like choosing how to battle, choosing how to fight. So staying in integrity and self-awareness, that's the main thing. Hearing other people, but also staying grounded in your own autonomy. That's the word I want to use, especially with Saturn sextile Chiron. That's another good thing about this is we have some things to draw on, some healing that may need to happen. Maybe someone needs to see the new things that you're doing, the new ways you're trying to go. And maybe part of this Mercury on the South Node is speaking to what you're not doing anymore. Okay, Friday the 26th, the moon is in Leo opposing Jupiter first thing. So big feelings, especially, based on the previous day's events. We could be feeling big about our convictions, right? About the way we want to head, about the new future we're building with Jupiter and Aquarius. So it's likely a carryover of the day's events. Now, the rest of the day, Friday, November 26th, feels like it sort of floats by. The moon's not making any more aspects after it squares Jupiter. So, a square to Jupiter's not a bad thing. It expands. So I'm not going to say that it's going to be a bad start. A square, it can be tensions though. So, maybe some new things we learn, or maybe a new belief we have is in tension with the moon in Leo, which is a place that we are typically used to coming from an inner child perspective. So that's how we start off, but the rest of the day, the moon doesn't make any more aspects. It's called void, of course. So it's a little bit of a quiet day in that way, I suppose, but contemplative. The evening, though, does pick up a little bit, like it changes. The evening has a different flair. So after all of that time of the moon finishing its transit in Leo, it moves into Virgo. And at the same time as Saturn's exact sextile to Chiron. Now, Chiron being the wounded healer, which is focused on not only healing ourselves, but how we can help to heal others and serve others. And also the moon being in Virgo, which is very similar in its archetype. It's holism, healing. That is what this evening will be. Not just that, though. It's also the third quarter waning square of the moon. This is the last adjustment of the moon phase. So it's finishing up something. It's like contemplating, healing. It's also magical because the moon in Virgo is a mutable earth sign, and it really has a lot to do with like the medicine woman archetype, and so it can be quite a magical evening. It's ritual, it's routine. The other thing is Mars is closing in on a trine to Neptune, and that's already pretty active, a couple of degrees away on Friday. So Saturday, November 27th, the moon's in Virgo still, and it's making an inconjunct to Chiron and Saturn, which are sextile, and this makes a triangle. It's called a yod, the finger of God, and it points at the moon in Virgo. So again, on Saturday, Friday night into Saturday, we continue this holism, health, wellness, routine, ritual. And especially with the night before it being the third quarter square of the moon, we're like really focusing on what clearing needs to be done, what cleaning needs to be done, pruning, maybe new rituals or routines. This is a good Saturday for clearing out your house, or maybe even clearing out your mind by going on a hike. It's a pretty magical day, I would say, focused on our own healing, our own soul work. Later, the moon makes a trine to Uranus and Taurus, which is also liberating and renewing. So I look at Saturday and Sunday, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, as very magical, very healing, even Friday night. And dreams will be super active this weekend. Now, Sunday's probably the most magical of the week, and I'm really excited about Sunday. It's transcendental, it's mystical, it's beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to try to explain this very clearly. There are several different planets that are making aspects to Neptune. Mars in Scorpio is trining Neptune. Venus in Capricorn is sextiling Neptune. The moon in Virgo is opposing Neptune as it trines Venus and sextiles Mars. And so we've got this special trine filled, sextile filled, transcendental magical day. And I just think that it's going to feel very restorative, very inspirational, perhaps magical. So many planets are in synergy and supporting you, and you're feeling good, really. I mean, feeling centered, feeling synthesized, like things are going to be like, oh, that's what it was. Now, the best part of this is our consciousness, Mercury, and mental processes, that's Mercury, are in Cazimi. Cazimi means in the heart of the sun. So Mercury will be meeting with the sun on this day. It's a day that's oftentimes referred to as like this turning point. Mercury metaphorically gets burned away by the sun. So we get renewed by this Cazimi. And in Sagittarius, this relates to those negative self-limiting beliefs that we've been trying to clear out with the eclipse cycle. So I think Sunday is going to be a turning point, a huge turning point. We have all of these synergistic things happening with Neptune and then Mercury Cazimi in Sagittarius. So it's like releasing the negative, releasing the self-limiting beliefs. And maybe write some things down today. Maybe you will have some awareness, some epiphanies, some change in perspectives. I think a lot of pieces of the puzzle seem to fall into place this day. Now, for the week ahead, Monday, November 29th, we wake up, it feels very different. The moon's moving into Libra. Mercury's past the sun and it's charting new territory this week. Mars makes its exact trine to Neptune on Monday. So that may not be the best day to feel like it's like get up and go day. So I would just plan on that, like I always think if you can plan ahead and know that you may not feel like, now you may feel like creating that day. Mars and Scorpio trine Neptune in Pisces is going to be very creative and inspirational and magical, but it's also escapist and like, I don't really feel like doing anything. So if you can plan for that Monday, the 29th, that's a good thing to do. The rest of the week is the pretty big story is the solar eclipse. That's Saturday, December 4th. And then also it's a building Mars sextile to Pluto and square Jupiter. So Mars is still the story in Scorpio, and it will be interacting with some pretty big hitters. So I'd say December 2nd through 4th looks pretty energized, maybe tense, maybe triggering, definitely faded because we're still in the middle of eclipse season. Everything happening in these 2 weeks to me is very important. It's speaking to something. It's a period of time that we really need to pay attention. I definitely am taking the moments that I'm feeling triggered and upset and trying to learn from them and think, what limiting narratives am I actually falling into the trap of, if I'm being triggered, and what do I need to keep? What is telling me, no, this is a place that you need to speak up? That's what's going on this week. Okay. It's going to continue through till next week because of the solar eclipse in Sagittarius. So it's continually clearing out self-limiting beliefs and old storylines, and maybe making way for new beliefs. And it's not just the self-limiting ones. It can be philosophical as well and spiritual. So pay attention. And I wish the best for you. Happy Thanksgiving. I say that because a lot of people have that day off. And if you don't, oh, my love, I ask for help from people. Like, I really feel like it's important. If you know someone's working on Thanksgiving, bring them dinner, send them a sweet text. It's very important because that's a day that I think everyone needs days of rest. And that is in our culture needs to change. I think, more so than just on Thanksgiving, but have compassion. It's a time for grateful, not hateful. Remember that. And if you need anything, always feel free to email me, reach out on the social media. This video will be on YouTube. I usually post the link in my bio. And also the written version is always on my website on the blog, ecstaticastrology.com. And just click on the blog to find it. And if you want to know more about your own chart and how this is affecting you and how the year ahead looks, holler at me. I'm doing year ahead starting soon. See you guys later. Mwah.